The galaxy of Verex Prime had not known defeat in over 3,000 cycles. From the burning forge worlds of the Croft Dominion to the crystal cities of the Ilari Concord, conquest was routine. Fleets moved like storms. Worlds fell like dust. Resistance was expected, but it never lasted. The Galactic Assembly gathered in its colossal orbital hall, a ring of living metal and light suspended above a blue star. Hundreds of alien species watched holographic maps showing expanding borders, red for conquered, gold for controlled. Supreme Executor Korth Val, a towering insectoid with armored limbs and glowing eyes, addressed the council. Another system secured, Korth announced. Minimal losses. Indigenous species neutralized. The hall echoed with approving clicks, hums, and psychic ripples. A small figure at the edge of the chamber shifted nervously. Elder Sethran Vox, a frail, long-lived archivist species, raised a thin appendage. Executor, Vox said softly, there is one system still unclaimed. A yellow star. Third planet. Designation, Sol 3. Several delegates laughed. A death world, sneered a reptilian warlord. High gravity. Toxic atmosphere. Primitive life. Humans, Vox continued. They are young. But their history shows. Korth cut him off. Enough. We have scanned their technology. Chemical rockets. Crude satellites. Divided governments. He turned to the assembly. They are nothing. The vote was immediate. Sol 3 was approved for subjugation. Far away, beneath blue skies and restless oceans, humanity did not know the galaxy had just signed its death warrant. Part 2, First Contact, Last Warning. The Verex invasion fleet arrived without drama. No grand announcement. No demand for surrender. Just a shadow eclipsing the moon. On Earth, panic erupted. Telescopes caught impossible shapes, ships kilometers long, angular and cold. Every screen on the planet flickered as a single alien symbol appeared. Then a voice. Translated. Flat. Absolute. This world is now under Verex protection. Resistance is inefficient. Human leaders gathered in emergency sessions. Militaries mobilized, though everyone knew their weapons were useless. A transmission was sent in return. This is Earth, said Admiral Elias Rourke, calm despite the fear around him. We do not recognize your authority. We request negotiation. The reply was instant. Negotiation implies leverage. You have none. The alien fleet fired once. Not at cities. At the moon. A precise energy strike cracked its surface, sending a visible shockwave across space. Earth's tides shuddered. The message was clear. Surrender. But humans did not. Instead, something strange happened. All global networks went dark. Satellites powered down. Even the invasion fleet noticed the silence. What are they doing? A Verex commander asked. Korth Val watched calmly. Breaking apart. Fear. But in hidden bunkers, deep under mountains and oceans, humanity was not afraid. They were thinking. Part 3, the warship no one saw coming. 3 weeks passed. The Verex began planetary suppression. Orbital strikes targeted military bases. Cities burned. Billions watched helplessly. Then, an anomaly. Sensors detected a mass rising from the dark side of Earth's orbit. Impossible mass. No energy signature. No known propulsion. A Verex officer stammered. Executor, there is a ship. A single vessel emerged. Black. Angular. Silent. It dwarfed even Verex command ships. On its hull, painted in stark white letters. UNS Resolute. The human warship spoke. This is Admiral Rourke of the United Nations Stellar Command. You are trespassing. Laughter filled the alien bridge. One ship. Korth said. Destroy it. The fleet fired. Energy beams, plasma lances, antimatter torpedoes. The Resolute did not move. A shimmering distortion absorbed everything. Then the human ship replied. One shot. A beam of compressed spacetime tore through 3 Verex cruisers, folding them inward like paper. Silence. The Resolute advanced. This technology violates known physics, an alien screamed. Rourke's voice was cold. So did fire once. The war had begun. Part 4, the galaxy watches in fear. News spread faster than light. Across the galaxy, conquered species watched recordings of Verex ships dying to a single human vessel. The assembly reconvened in chaos. Korth Val slammed his claw into the floor. Send the armada. Erase them. But doubts crept in. The humans fought differently. They retreated, then ambushed. They sacrificed ships to learn enemy tactics. They adapted mid-battle. Every engagement made them deadlier. Human fleets multiplied, emerging from hidden shipyards built in asteroid belts, gas giants, even inside hollowed moons. At Kepler 91, humans lured a Varex dreadnought into a gravity well and collapsed a star. At Virex Gate, human marines boarded alien ships using kinetic armor and close-range combat, terrifying species who had never fought face-to-face. "They should have broken," whispered an Ilari diplomat. "Why won't they stop?" Because humanity had learned something long ago. Survival was not about strength. It was about refusal to die. Part 5. The Truth the Aliens Feared. Captured Varex scientists were brought aboard the Resolute. They were shown Earth's history. World wars. Nuclear standoffs. Plagues. Climate collapse. Yet humanity survived every time. Admiral Rourke addressed the assembly directly. "You thought we were weak because we fight each other," he said. "You were wrong. We fight each other to get better." The shocking truth emerged. Human technology was not new. It was hidden. Humanity had detected alien signals centuries earlier, and prepared in silence. The Resolute was not a prototype. It was a warning. Part 6. The Fall of the Conquerors. The final battle came at Varex Prime. Human fleets jumped in from every direction, using captured alien gates. The sky burned. Warship. Korth Val watched his empire collapse. Human ships disabled weapons instead of annihilating cities. Why? Korth demanded as he was captured. Rourke answered quietly. "Because we know what comes after extinction." The Varex surrendered. The galaxy held its breath. Part 7. A New Galactic Age. Years later, the Galactic Assembly met again. This time, a human seat stood at the center. Not as rulers, but as guardians. Formerly conquered species thrived under new treaties. Trade replaced conquest. Defense replaced domination. Elder Vox approached Rourke. "I warned them," Vox said gently. Rourke smiled. "They needed to learn." As the Resolute drifted past Earth, children watched the stars. Humanity was no longer underestimated. They were no longer alone. They were the species that faced the galaxy, and changed it forever. Because humans do not conquer to rule. They conquer fear itself. The first sign that humanity was no longer alone did not come with explosions. It came with silence. Astronomers across Earth noticed it at the same time. Deep space background noise, constant for as long as humans had listened, vanished in a perfect circular pattern near the moon's orbit. Instruments recalibrated. Engineers cursed. Scientists stared in disbelief. Then the sky changed. From cities, deserts, oceans, and mountains, people looked up and saw the stars bend. Light twisted as if space itself was being folded. A massive shadow slid across the moon, swallowing it whole. Something was there. Something enormous. Every satellite camera locked on automatically. Every military radar screamed warnings. Within minutes, global news channels were broadcasting the same image. A fleet. Hundreds of alien warships hung in space like metal predators. Their shapes were sharp, unnatural, designed for function, not beauty. Hulls glowed with faint red lines, pulsing like veins. Panic swept the planet. Markets collapsed in seconds. Streets filled with shouting crowds. Religions declared prophecy fulfilled. Militaries went to maximum alert, though no one truly believed jets and missiles mattered anymore. Then every screen on Earth flickered. Phones. Billboards. Emergency displays. Even old televisions in remote villages. A single symbol appeared, angular, alien, burning red. And then a voice spoke. It was calm. Cold. Perfectly translated. Species of Soul, 3. This system now falls under the authority of the Varex Dominion. The voice paused as if allowing the words to sink in. Your planet has been assessed. Your resistance potential is low. Compliance will ensure biological preservation. Preservation. Not freedom. Not survival. Preservation. In Geneva, leaders of the world gathered in a reinforced underground chamber. The air was thick with fear and disbelief. Generals argued. Politicians shouted. Scientists begged to be heard. At the center of the room stood Admiral Elias Rourke, head of the newly revealed United Nations Stellar Defense Command, a title that until today had sounded like science fiction. Now it was terrifyingly real. Rourke stepped forward and activated the transmitter. "This is Earth," he said steadily. "We acknowledge your presence. We request dialogue." Seconds passed. Then the alien voice returned unchanged. "Dialogue implies negotiation." Pause. "Negotiation implies leverage." Another pause. You have none. Around Rourke, people whispered in horror. Then the aliens demonstrated what leverage looked like. A single Varex ship detached from the fleet and aimed a glowing weapon at the moon. No, someone whispered. The beam fired. It was not loud. It was precise. A glowing line struck the moon's surface, carving a molten scar hundreds of kilometers long. Rock vaporized. Dust erupted into space like a silent scream. On Earth, the oceans shuddered. Tides spiked. Earthquakes rippled across coastlines. Billions watched the moon bleed on live broadcast. The message was unmistakable. Obey, or watch your world break. The alien voice returned. This was a demonstration. Continued defiance will result in planetary neutralization. The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then panic returned, stronger than before. Some leaders demanded immediate surrender. Others argued humanity should fight, even if it meant extinction. Religious leaders prayed. Scientists wept. But deep beneath the noise, something else was happening. Across the planet, classified facilities activated. Hidden doors opened. Ancient protocols unlocked. Under mountains, beneath oceans, inside asteroids already hollowed by secret construction, humanity moved. Satellites shut down one by one, going dark. Communication networks went silent. Power grids disconnected. To the Varex fleet, Earth suddenly looked like a world collapsing into chaos. On the flagship, Executor Korth Val observed the data with satisfaction. They are breaking, he said. Typical. A subordinate hesitated. Executor, their signals are not chaotic. They are intentional. Korth's mandibles clicked in amusement. Fear always looks intentional to those who do not understand it. But on Earth, fear was not in control. Preparation was. In a bunker buried beneath kilometers of reinforced rock, Admiral Rourke removed his uniform jacket and stood before a wall-sized screen showing Earth, the moon, and the alien fleet. Behind him, officers from every major nation waited in silence. Rourke spoke quietly. They think we're weak because they saw our surface. He looked at the screen. They never looked beneath it. A technician spoke. Phase 1 complete. Global blackout achieved. Another voice followed. All hidden fleets reporting ready. Rourke closed his eyes for a moment. Then let them believe we are afraid, he said. Above Earth, the Varex fleet repositioned, confident, dominant. They had conquered thousands of worlds. This one looked no different. They did not yet understand the truth. Humanity had not gone silent. Humanity was holding its breath. 3 weeks passed after the initial Varex demonstration of power. The alien fleet hung in Earth's orbit like a predator waiting for its prey. Orbital strikes began in earnest. Varex weapons swept over cities, military bases, and industrial complexes. Humanity's conventional defenses, fighter jets, missile silos, naval fleets, were wiped out before they even launched. Satellites were vaporized. Communication networks were shredded. Entire regions vanished in brilliant blue-white flashes that left billions watching, helpless. Yet, amid the destruction, humans moved in silence. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a vast complex hidden inside the Mariana Trench, Admiral Elias Rourke paced. His uniform was simple, a fitted jacket over a tactical vest. Around him, the brightest engineers, physicists, and strategists from every nation worked tirelessly. Holographic displays flickered, showing the alien fleet, their energy outputs, and orbital trajectories. Status report, Rourke said. His voice was calm, unwavering, yet carried a weight that made officers freeze in attention. All human orbital assets are offline. Blackout complete. Fleet reserves are secure. Preparations for jump deployment are ready, reported Commander Liera Voss, a brilliant tactical mind known for unconventional strategies. Rourke nodded. Good. They think we are cornered. That's exactly what we want. Above them, in the shadowed skies of the upper atmosphere, a strange anomaly appeared. Sensors across the Varex fleet detected a massive mass moving without acceleration patterns. It had no detectable energy signature, no exhaust trail, and no electromagnetic emissions. The Varex flagship officer tilted his multifaceted eyes. Executor, something is emerging. Korth Val, the towering insectoid executor, clicked his mandibles in amusement. Impossible. There should be nothing left to deploy. The humans are finished. The anomaly became clearer. A single ship emerged from the shadow of Earth's far side. It was massive, far larger than any Varex cruiser, and angular, black, and silent. Its hull reflected starlight like polished obsidian. For a moment, the fleet seemed to hesitate, their sensors failing to comprehend what they saw. Then a symbol appeared on the ship's hull, painted in stark white letters. UNS Resolute. A transmission followed. A calm human voice filled the fleet's communication channels. "This is Admiral Elias Rourke of the United Nations Stellar Command. You are trespassing. Leave this system immediately or be destroyed." A ripple of laughter ran through the alien bridge. "One ship," hissed a Varex lieutenant. "Destroy it. It is insignificant." Korth's claws hovered over the command console. "Destroy it," he repeated. His voice carried the weight of 3,000 years of unbroken conquest. The fleet fired. Plasma lances, energy beams and antimatter torpedoes streamed toward the Resolute. The human ship did not move. It hovered in silence, seemingly absorbing the attacks. Screens on the Varex bridge registered something impossible. The beams slowed, bent, and collapsed into invisible vortices upon contact. A single human response came, a beam of compressed spacetime fired from the Resolute's main cannon. It struck 3 Varex cruisers simultaneously, folding their hulls inward like paper. The fleet sensors screamed. The flagship's shields were breached. Entire warships imploded in seconds. Silence. The Resolute moved forward, slowly, deliberately. Another shot fired. Another trio of ships disintegrated. The remaining vessels scrambled. Some attempted to flee. Others tried to concentrate fire. Nothing worked. Every tactic the Varex employed failed before the humans' unforeseen technology. On the bridge, Korth's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "Impossible, our calculations," he froze. "This violates every known law." The Resolute's voice came again, cold and unyielding. "So did fire, once." Panic spread throughout the alien fleet. Sensors overloaded. Commanders shouted. Ships collided. Some accidentally fired on each other. The unthinkable had happened. A single human vessel was defeating a fleet of thousands. Meanwhile, below in Earth's bunkers, Rourke observed the battle unfold on a live feed. He did not smile. "Not yet." Commander Voss leaned over him. "They can't stop us, can they?" Rourke's gaze was steady. "No. But they will try everything. And that will teach them one thing humans have always known." "What's that?" she asked. "Adaptation. We survive. We learn. We fight back. And we never surrender." Across Earth, the news feeds were black, but the few satellites that survived showed the same images. The Resolute advancing, the alien fleet in chaos, and an entire species realizing that the creature they had underestimated was far more dangerous than any of them imagined. In the Varex assembly, communications scrambled. Other species whispered among themselves. They said humans were primitive, weak, expendable. Now they were terrified. Because humans did not merely fight. Humans innovated under fire. Humans learned faster than any war machine could destroy them. And most importantly, humans refused to die. Above the scorched earth, the battle raged. One by one, the Varex ships fell or fled. The Resolute moved like a shadow, methodical, precise, unstoppable. And somewhere in the blackness of space, Admiral Rourke sent a simple, final message to the Varex flagship. "This is only the beginning." The galaxy had not yet realized it, but it was about to witness the rise of a species no conqueror could ignore. The news of the Resolute spread faster than light, or at least faster than any species thought possible. Across the galaxy, in every system the Varex had conquered, recordings of the first battle against the human warship were shared clandestinely. Images of 3 massive Varex cruisers folded inward like paper, obliterated by a single human vessel, ignited hope and terror in equal measure. For species that had spent centuries under the boot of Varex dominion, this was unimaginable. For the Varex themselves, it was a nightmare. At the Galactic Assembly, chaos reigned. Holographic displays flickered as urgent messages poured in from the outer sectors. Every diplomat, every delegate, every recorder of history stared in disbelief. Korth slammed his claw on the command table. "Send the armada. Send everything. Erase them before they multiply." But even as he barked orders, doubt crept into the minds of his officers. Some whispered to each other. "The humans, they fight differently. They adapt faster than we can anticipate." Ilari diplomat Vizai Tal, who had long feared Varex rule, spoke softly to her aide. "Do you see? Even the conquerors are afraid. Even the apex of terror can break." The human fleet, now augmented with hidden ships from underground orbital yards, was not limited to the Resolute. It was everywhere at once. Ships emerged from asteroid belts, gas giants and hollowed moons, some camouflaged, some invisible to alien sensors. Humans had built an arsenal in secret, knowing this day could come. At Kepler 91, the humans executed a maneuver that would be studied for centuries. A Varex dreadnought chased what they thought was a decoy human frigate into the orbit of a collapsing star. At the precise moment, humans triggered a spatial anchor, pulling the dreadnought into the star's gravity well. The ship imploded under tidal forces before the Varex command could react. In the outer rim, human boarding teams employed tactics that had terrified the galaxy in theory but never in practice. Marine troops, clad in kinetic armor and armed with electromagnetic disruptors, teleported directly onto enemy vessels. They bypassed shields, neutralized crews, and left the ships intact but inoperable. Every boarding action was precise, surgical, and terrifyingly efficient. Alien species who had relied on technology superior to human engineering realized their advantage was meaningless in face-to-face combat with humans who learned, adapted, and innovated instantly. The Varex fleet commander, a veteran of countless campaigns, finally admitted what all of his officers feared. They should have broken months ago. Why won't they? A Varex scientist, taken from the battlefield for questioning, muttered under his breath, "Because they are different. They don't quit. They don't yield. And they do not fear death." Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Rourke monitored the fleet. He walked among scientists and tacticians in the war room. They were tired, overworked, and constantly on edge, but none of them showed panic. Humanity's greatest weapon was not the Resolute, nor the hidden fleets, nor the weapons capable of folding stars. It was human ingenuity and willpower. Rourke spoke quietly to Commander Voss. "Every Varex tactic they throw at us is predictable. Every strategy is linear. They have not faced a species that can anticipate, adapt, and execute simultaneously." Voss nodded. "They will try everything though. We've seen entire fleets sent to annihilate small human sectors. They'll escalate. And we'll rise higher," Rourke replied. "Every escalation makes us stronger, smarter, faster. That is how humans survive." Across the galaxy, the reactions were mixed. Formerly conquered species watched broadcasts with awe and trembling. The Ilari began organizing resistance movements. Planets long under Varex control sent envoys to Earth secretly, offering intelligence and resources. The galaxy, for the first time, saw humans as potential allies rather than primitive animals. Even within the Varex, whispers of fear spread like wildfire. The conquerors, once untouchable, now faced the horrifying reality: humanity could outthink, outmaneuver, and outfight them in ways no technology could predict. The final message of the day came from the Resolute itself. A transmission blasted across the Varex comm networks, repeating on all channels. "This is only the beginning. Stop us and perish. Stand aside and survive. The choice is yours." It was not a threat. It was a statement of fact. By the time the Varex reassembled their scattered fleet, human ships had already struck again. Systems previously thought secure fell under human control, not by destruction but by precision sabotage and coordinated strikes. Every move was calculated, every strike surgical. Humans turned every disadvantage into an advantage, every weakness into a weapon. The galaxy had never witnessed a species like this. And somewhere deep within the command bunkers of the Resolute, Admiral Rourke finally allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had awakened the galaxy. But even as humans celebrated small victories, the war was far from over. Korthval and the Varex still plotted. They were beaten but not broken. And the galaxy was about to see just how far human cunning and resilience could stretch in the face of a dying empire. For now, one fact was undeniable: the galaxy had begun to fear humanity. And that fear was only the beginning. The galaxy was in shock. Stories of the Resolute's victories spread from system to system. Even the most isolated planets had caught whispers of humanity's rise. The Varex, once unstoppable, were now hesitant, their fleets scattered, their command structure fraying. Fear, something they had never known, gnawed at their imperious confidence. But the humans did not celebrate. Victory was not in spectacle, it was in knowledge. Captured Varex vessels were brought to the hidden docks beneath the surface of Earth's moon. Alien officers, scientists, and soldiers were held in secure facilities designed to neutralize every one of their superior technologies. Here, humans did something the galaxy had never expected. They did not immediately execute or interrogate through fear. They taught. They revealed. In a massive hall filled with observation decks and transparent shields, Admiral Rourke addressed a collection of alien scientists, including several from the Varex High Command. Their expressions were mixtures of confusion, anger, and fear. "You thought we were primitive," Rourke said. His voice was calm, almost serene. You studied our rockets, our satellites, our surface technology. You judged us on what we showed. That was your first mistake. A Verax scientist, still trembling, hissed, "We observed everything. Your weapons are crude. Your fleets, insignificant." Rourke raised a hand. "Insignificant to you, perhaps. But we were preparing while you were conquering. While you destroyed civilizations, we studied you. We adapted. We anticipated. Your superiority is a habit, not a truth." The aliens glanced at one another, uncertainty spreading. Never before had a species survived a direct confrontation and then admitted their plans openly. Rourke continued, walking slowly among them. "Let me show you something." The walls flickered to holographic displays: Earth's history, the rise and fall of empires, nuclear tests, worldwide conflicts, global pandemics, environmental collapses, wars that had decimated continents. Yet humanity had survived each one. The galaxy's conquerors watched in disbelief as the timeline unfolded. Societies had fallen and rebuilt, governments had collapsed and risen stronger, technologies had been banned and then re-engineered faster than before. A low murmur rose among the Verax officers. One hissed, "Impossible. No species survives such chaos," repeatedly. Rourke smiled faintly. "We survived because survival is our law. And because we learn from everything. Every mistake. Every defeat. Every observation. That is why you are failing now." Another display appeared. Human fleets in hidden orbital yards, asteroid bases, hollow moons. Ships designed in secret for decades, waiting for this moment. Precise coordinates for Verax defenses, gathered through centuries of observation and subtle signal interception. Every weakness identified. Every strength countered. Verax officers began whispering among themselves, realizing for the first time that the humans' unpredictability was not chaos, it was strategy. They had weaponized adaptability. "And here is what you really fear," Rourke said, voice low but cutting through the hall. "We learned your tactics faster than you could adapt them. We predicted your attacks. We trained our minds to counter your weapons before you even deployed them. Every strike you made against us has been recorded, studied, and used against you." Korthval's lieutenant stepped forward, his eyes wide. "You knew. You anticipated all of this?" "Every time," Rourke replied. "You believed humans to be primitive, weak, predictable. That was your mistake. You underestimated our intelligence, our creativity, and our willingness to endure beyond any measure. We did not fight for glory. We fought to survive. And survival breeds power." A scientist stammered, "Your fleets, your technology, it is beyond what our calculations predicted." "Yes," Rourke said. "And the galaxy has not even seen our limits yet." Then he paused. "You see, we did not seek war. We sought preparation. And the galaxy forced our hand. You arrived thinking conquest would be easy. It was not. And now you will remember why humans are feared." Aboard the Resolute, tactical officers were mapping the next Verax positions. Human fleets, hidden for months, were now emerging in waves across the outer sectors. The aliens' remaining fleets were being dismantled, not by sheer force but by precision strikes, ambushes, and psychological warfare. Every victory emphasized humanity's growing legend. Even the conquered species, long enslaved or subjugated, began to communicate with the humans. The Ilari, the Sithari, and the Virax, all species that had suffered under Verax oppression, started providing intelligence. They shared data, patrol routes, Stargate codes, and logistical details. The galaxy itself was aligning with humanity, not through fear alone but respect. Rourke looked at the alien captives once more. "You thought you ruled the galaxy. You did not. You thought you could erase a species. You underestimated us. And that is why you are failing." For the first time, Korthval's pride faltered. The unbroken executor realized the terrifying truth. Humanity was not only surviving, they were reshaping the rules of interstellar conflict. And in the quiet hum of hidden Earth bases, humans prepared for the next strike, for the next system, for the moment when the galaxy would fully understand that humanity was no longer a threat to be ignored, it was a force to be respected, feared, and ultimately obeyed. Because humans did not merely adapt. Humans did not merely survive. Humans evolved in the shadow of extinction and emerged unstoppable. And that truth, finally understood by the galaxy's greatest conquerors, was a terror they could not erase. The final confrontation was coming. The Verax Empire, once untouchable, now trembled under the growing legend of humanity. Their fleets were scattered. Supply lines cut. Morale shattered. And yet they refused to surrender. Korthval, the towering executor who had commanded thousands of worlds, gathered his remaining ships near the capital system of Varex Prime. A fleet of over 600 warships, once unchallenged, now faced the full might of humanity. In the hidden bases around Jupiter, Admiral Elias Rourke coordinated the assault. Humans did not rely on brute force alone. They had studied the Varex strategies, memorized their responses, and prepared traps so intricate that even the most veteran alien commanders could not anticipate them. "Status report," Rourke demanded as he surveyed the holographic map of the battlefield. Commander Liara Voss, her eyes sharp, replied, "All hidden fleets are in position. We've prepared orbital ambushes at Varex Prime, kinetic traps along the main approach vectors, and subspace disruptors around the planet. They won't see us coming." Rourke nodded. "Good. Remember, we do not destroy unnecessarily. Disable their weapons. Capture their commanders. Show the galaxy our way is stronger than theirs." The human fleets jumped into position, emerging from gas giant orbits, asteroid belts, and secret star lanes. To the Varex, it seemed as though humanity had appeared from nowhere, like a phantom army rising from the void. Panic rippled through their ranks. Korth Val's claws tightened over the command console. "Deploy everything. Annihilate them before they consolidate. Do not allow one human to escape. The galaxy cannot witness this shame." The battle erupted like a supernova. Energy beams lanced across space, turning void into a cathedral of fire and explosions. Human ships did not retreat, they executed surgical strikes. A destroyer appeared behind a Varex dreadnought, disabling its propulsion with a single graviton pulse. Boarding teams teleported onto the flagship, cutting through alien crews with silent efficiency. Yet the Varex were relentless. Korth Val ordered the deployment of hypercharged weapons, capable of obliterating entire fleets at once. A massive Varex dreadnought fired its primary cannon. The beam struck a human frigate. The frigate disintegrated. But the Resolute, as always, led the counterattack. Its shields flared, absorbing and redirecting the blast, while its main cannon tore through the dreadnought's hull, vaporizing the ship before the Varex could react again. Across the battlefield, human strategies continued to unfold. Planets previously under Varex control suddenly aligned with Earth. Systems long thought pacified opened gates, allowing human ships to attack from behind. Supply lines collapsed. Fleets were trapped in gravitational traps. And everywhere the humans moved, they adapted mid-battle, learning the enemy's movements faster than the Varex could counter them. Aboard the Varex flagship, panic turned to despair. Korth Val's mandibles clicked in disbelief. "Impossible. Every tactic, we planned for everything. How can one species anticipate all of it?" Admiral Rourke's voice cut across the subspace channel. "You underestimated us. You always have. We survive by learning. We conquer fear by facing it." Korth roared, ordering a retreat, but even that was too late. Human forces had blocked all escape routes. Fleets collided as panic spread, and boarding teams neutralized command ships one by one. On Varex Prime, orbital bombardment was precise. Cities were untouched. Industrial zones dismantled. Weapons systems seized. Humans demonstrated that victory did not require annihilation. It required control, intelligence, and superior tactics. Finally, Korth Val, realizing the battle was lost, attempted one last gambit. He activated the Doom Star, a superweapon capable of obliterating the planet and surrounding systems. He sent a transmission. "Humanity will not survive. We will take you with us." Admiral Rourke responded calmly, "We do not fear death. You fear life. That is why you lose." Within moments, human engineers executed a subspace hack, infiltrating the Doomstar's core systems. The superweapon destabilized. Energy surged backward, ripping the flagship apart. Korth Val's throne room was destroyed in a blinding explosion. His empire, the terror of the galaxy, fell silent. The surviving Varex surrendered. Not because they had no ships, but because they understood the humans could not be defeated by fear, technology, or brute force alone. Humanity's intelligence, adaptability, and cunning were unmatched. Across the galaxy, broadcasts from Earth and the Resolute confirmed the victory. The conquered species rejoiced. Freed colonies sent emissaries. Even former enemies began to recognize humanity not as primitive conquerors, but as guardians of the balance. In the aftermath, Admiral Rourke addressed the captured Varex leadership. "You thought us weak. You thought this system was trivial. You thought conquest was inevitable. You were wrong. You see, the galaxy does not need conquerors. It needs survivors. And humanity, survives beyond all limits. The Varex could only listen, broken and defeated. Their empire lay in ruins. Humanity had not only defended its home but reshaped the hierarchy of the galaxy, proving that intelligence, courage and adaptability could surpass even the most absolute dominance. The Resolute drifted silently above Varex Prime. Its black hull reflected the stars. Beside it, fleets of human and allied species formed a protective ring. Humanity had won, but more importantly, it had set the standard for the galaxy. The age of the conquerors had ended. The age of humanity had begun. The dust of battle settled across the galaxy, but the echoes of war lingered in every star system. Worlds once conquered by the Varex began to awaken. Cities that had been hollowed out or enslaved now teemed with life and hope. Formerly subjugated species looked to humanity not as conquerors, but as liberators and protectors. The Galactic Assembly reconvened, but this time the seat at the center, once empty now filled, belonged to humanity. Not as rulers, but as representatives of a species that had proven, through cunning, resilience and sheer intelligence, that it could stand against the galaxy's mightiest empire. Admiral Elias Rourke stood at the podium, facing delegates from hundreds of species. Some were still nervous, some openly hostile, some watched in awe. Every eye, every sensor, every mind bore witness to what humans had accomplished. Delegates of the galaxy, Rourke began, his voice calm but carrying authority, the age of conquest has ended. The Varex Empire sought to dominate through fear and force. Humanity has shown that the galaxy can be secured not through destruction, but through vigilance, strategy, and cooperation. We do not seek to rule. We do not seek to enslave. We seek to protect the fragile balance of life in the cosmos. A murmur swept through the chamber. Some species whispered to each other, amazed that a species so recently considered primitive could speak with such authority. Others, once Varex allies, nodded in reluctant respect. Elder Sethran Vox, the frail archivist who had warned the assembly long ago, stepped forward. "It seems I was correct," he said softly, his voice trembling with age. "Humans are not just survivors. They are catalysts. A species that forces the galaxy to change." Rourke's eyes met Vox's. "We did not ask to be the catalyst. But the galaxy demanded action. And we responded, as humanity always has, through ingenuity, courage, and unyielding will." Across the galaxy, humans worked alongside newly freed species to rebuild infrastructure, restore trade routes, and stabilize political systems once under Varex rule. Human engineers shared technology carefully, never overwhelming less advanced civilizations, yet providing enough to defend themselves against threats. Humanity did not dominate, it empowered. The Varex survivors were exiled to distant systems, stripped of their weapons and placed under supervision. Korth Vol, once the terror of thousands of worlds, sat in a containment facility on a neutral planet. He met with human diplomats in silence, his pride wounded, yet alive. For the first time he understood the enormity of human capability, not just in war but in strategy, adaptability and resilience. In orbit above Earth, the Resolute drifted silently, its black hull gleaming under the light of the sun. Children from around the globe watched through telescopes and video feeds. They did not yet know the full story of what had happened in the outer systems, but they felt the pride, the awe, the inspiration of a species that had faced annihilation and emerged supreme without losing its humanity. Back in the assembly, a vote was held to establish the Galactic Defense Coalition, a council tasked with maintaining peace and ensuring that no species could rise unchecked to threaten others. Humanity was entrusted with one of the leading seats, not as rulers but as mediators, strategists, and advisors. Rourke, now older and carrying the weight of countless battles, addressed the new council. "We have learned many lessons. That power alone does not ensure survival. That fear may win battles but respect wins wars. That intelligence, cooperation, and the courage to endure are more formidable than fleets of any size. Humanity's role is not to dominate, but to guide, to teach, and when necessary to defend the galaxy against threats too great for one species to face alone." Vox approached Rourke after the session, his eyes bright with quiet satisfaction. "You have done more than survive. You have changed the future of countless civilizations. Humanity is extraordinary." Rourke smiled faintly. "We have survived because we adapt. We have endured because we refuse to surrender. And we will thrive because we understand what no empire has ever grasped, that life in all its forms is stronger than fear." The galaxy entered a new era. Trade flourished. Diplomatic alliances expanded. Former enemies became allies. Humanity's reputation was not built on terror or conquest, but on the unbreakable combination of intellect, courage, and compassion. As the sun rose over Earth, humans looked to the stars with renewed wonder. They had faced annihilation by the most fearsome empire the galaxy had known. They had won against impossible odds. And they had done so without sacrificing their core humanity. The Resolute, a symbol of their triumph, remained in orbit, a sentinel, a guardian, and a reminder that humans were no longer to be underestimated. Across the galaxy, stories of their cunning, bravery, and adaptability would echo for generations. And somewhere, in the dark corners of space, survivors of the Varex Empire whispered of the one species that had shattered their dominance, reminding all who would listen. Humanity does not conquer merely to rule. Humanity conquers fear itself. The galaxy had changed forever. And humanity had proven, once and for all, that they were the apex of survival, strategy, and ingenuity. A new era had begun. The Galactic Age of Humanity.